out what this agent does. I am extremely pleased. Myself and Brenna joined by John Gasicki, lead producer on the Valorant characters team, and Alexander Mistakidis, the game designer for the Valorant characters team as well. I want to start off, John. This agent is very different to the Sentinels that you might be expecting. Can you tell me a little bit about why we've even got a Sentinel and what kind of niche she fills?
Yeah. So overall, we're always trying to make sure that we're like balancing the roles and the different play styles in the game so that long term there's a healthy ecosystem. And we felt that there was a need for a Sentinel coming up. I know that there's been a lot of comments about that for a while now. I think for like the past 2 agents, I've seen like Sentinel win. So, you know, it's nice to make those players happy. But something we've noticed is that a lot of our Sentinels require a lot of setup. You know, you've got your like small window before the round starts where you're like running around your area, setting everything up. It can be like super stressful, anxiety ridden, and then no one shows up on your site. No one shows up on your location. You get like a little sad and you're like, all right, let me take down my stuff. Let me move on over here. And so we wanted to create a Sentinel that is more about reacting to the situation at hand. How do you stall on the fly? How do you prepare yourself in a certain position to be able to take advantage of enemies that are slowed down?
Interesting.
Okay, well, I want to dive into the abilities as well and really get to see the gameplay of Deadlock as well unleashed. I believe the first ability is Grab Net as well. It's like the lobbable grenade that really can, you know, like you said, be used reactionary, grabbing people. Can you explain a little bit more for me as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So GrabNet is this tool that's really good at stalling rushes or throwing at areas where you have information on where enemies are. And it will force them to crouch, and they can kind of move slowly within the bounds of the net, and they won't be able to escape that for a certain duration. They have an option to pull off the net and make a loud sound cue to let you know that they're there.
Cypher dart.
But otherwise, it's a little bit more low-key. You won't know if you've captured someone in your net or not, so you'll have to kind of check for yourself.
Right, and so that's kind of designed to bind a opponent in place, they're crouched on the floor, and then you're trying to incentivize the players to swing and confirm that they got that player and get the kill.
Yeah, I think that's one of the through lines for Deadlock is you're a Sentinel that has this opportunity to be a little bit more nimble and pivot on the information you have. And you have a fair bit of stall, but you also have to kind of lean into your abilities and fight for them to have their maximum efficacy. Because if you just kind of throw your stuff and leave it be, it'll be pretty easy for enemies to kind of take it down and move forward.
Yeah. All right, talk to me about this sonic sensor then, because I think most people are going to be aware of the Sentinels having some flank watch capabilities, but this one does work very differently. You've talked about it being more reactive, so can you break this one down for us?
Yeah, so I believe that sonic sensor will be a really unique trap in the game for now, because I think a lot of players are very comfortable with the idea of traps that are really good at flank watch and kind of reliably detecting if someone's in an area or approaching an area. And sonic sensor is a little different in that if you're sneaky, you can walk right on through. And so this kind of clear weakness shifts its kind of power profile into a different way where
you can walk by.
It's a lot better.
But you can't run by.
People are committing a lot to areas or in places where they want to make sound, like maybe when they want to tap the bomb, and a lot less strong when it comes to just kind of following on the flank and keeping tabs on it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's interesting as well. Now, the abilities we described, that's not a signature ability yet, right? We haven't actually touched on that. So what is her signature ability that she's throwing into the mix?
Yeah, so the signature ability is Barrier Mesh, which is a tossable projectile that will explode in X and create 4 different barriers. And those barriers will block characters from moving through.
Yeah, this is interesting.
It won't actually block gunfights or projectiles.
You can't run through it, but you can shoot and use abilities.
From taking ground, but doesn't stop the fight over the area.
Yeah, that's really different compared to all of the other barriers and walls that we have in the game currently. So it's just going to stop people from walking through that spot, but you're still trying to incentivize those fights to happen. It does feel like this whole character is about still taking the jewels on the site.
Absolutely, yeah. I think other Sentinels will have better ways to disengage or to get some guaranteed value from your utility if you have a good setup, where Deadlock will have a really good ability to kind of pivot and stall areas and have an opportunity to fight with them with their team.
Okay, we haven't touched on the big one yet, though. That's the ultimate, and it's named.
How does it work in 1v1s?
Good reason.
That's a good question.
I mean, this seems really fun to use, and yeah, I mean, just take it away. Explain this one. The concept as well behind it is crazy.
Yeah, this one was a lot of fun and took a lot of revisions and playtests to get right, I'll say that. Yeah, the intention for this ability is that it has a little bit more mastery and interactivity to it to some other ultimates, but it still offers this opportunity to quite literally grab someone and displace them and pull them into another place, potentially netting you a kill, but offers a lot of trade-offs.
How does that work? It bounces off the wall?
How are you going to rescue your teammate that's grabbed, and how are you going to play off Deadlock, kind of continuing to pressure with their team after they ult. And so, yeah, this ultimate should offer a really appealing fantasy for players who like the idea of landing that skill shot and grabbing an enemy and playing off of the ensuing result. And it should offer still a fair bit to the enemies in terms of how they will counter-strategize.
It looks so fun.
How, like, you bounce